So many nationalities, but one group that has had a big influence on what the city is today are the Swedes.
This morning in a special report, 13 News reporter Ruben Jones shows us the history of Rockford's Swedish influence and how the country continues to impact the Forest City today.
Drive past the Stockholm Inn in Rockford and you might think you're entering the United Nations of restaurants.
They enjoy coming down here, whether they're German or Italian or Norwegian.
But take a closer look and you'll see the flags are from one part of the world, Scandinavia. The inn's specific focus, Sweden.
We like to celebrate our heritage and try to keep the recipes, our homemade recipes from our grandmothers, going here at Stockholm Inn.
Swedish art fills the walls and Swedish pancakes.
Hey, there you go. Enjoy.
Fill nearly every table.
What is it about Swedish pancakes that makes them different than regular pancakes?
They're lighter, so fluffy and lighter. That's what I like.
They're just like a little taste of heaven. That's all I can say. They're just really good, especially when you put a ton of butter on them.
And Stockholm Inn is only one piece of Rockford's Swedish roots.
The immigrants began coming to the shores of America.
In the mid-1800s, Swedes were in search of a better life. Thousands of them ended up in New York City, but when many of them boarded a train en route to Chicago, they hit a roadblock.
They were told to stay on the train and go to the end of the line. And the end of the line happened to be Rockford, Illinois.
A cholera outbreak had overtaken Chicago, and the thousands of Swedes that thought they were going to find a new home in the Windy City suddenly found themselves in the Forest City.
One time, were actually occupied 25% of the population.
Rockford quickly became a little part of Scandinavia. It also got a new nickname.
It was great because Rockford became quite the Swedish capital for furniture.
The Swedes, known for their craftsmanship, quickly became an economic driver for the city, opening nearly 80 furniture factories.
The craft that they did with that wood at that time is just amazing.
But as people around the country began buying furniture focused less on craftsmanship and more on price, Rockford's Swedish factories couldn't compete, forcing many of them to close. But years later, the Swedish influence is still very much alive.
For a place to have such a strong foothold of Swedish presence and heritage, at one point, we want to keep that going. We don't want that ever to die out.
Besides the obvious visible signs of Rockford's Scandinavian influence, a stronger bond remains.
Much more alike than we are different from each other.
Linnea Bengtsson is Swedish, and while she is in Sweden for the summer, about 8 months of the year she calls Rockford her home. It's part of an industrial partnership with Lead Shipping Sweden. Rockford also has a sister city partnership with Borgholm, Sweden, but this association is focused on economic development.
We try to work globally in order to grow locally, so I think that thinking makes it very unique and very successful.
This is the 10th year for the relationship, and because of a Rockford and Swedish business joining forces, Bengtsson says jobs have been created. The two cities have also created a student exchange program, as well as helped increase tourism.
There's an interest in the country of Sweden, even by people that are not by Swedish descent. I have seen more people approaching me that how can I travel to Sweden now that they know that there are so many Swedes, current Swedes coming to Rockford to visit.
An alliance two places thousands of miles apart hope to continue as they work to remember Rockford's Swedish influence in history as well as in the future.